And you also talk about how nice guys really aren't that nice. They're like dishonest and manipulative. Can you talk a little bit more about that? Like how they're actually not nice?
Yeah, and that's the paradox, I guess, is that most nice guys think, well, because I'm a nice guy, people will love me and like me. And in just a minute, we'll talk about something called covert contracts. And yeah, I knew you nodded in recognition about that. Um, but if you are hiding everything about you, you're not an authentic person. And in a sense, you're dishonest. You're not real. If you don't say what you really want, if you don't ask people to help you get your needs met, if you um, hide the things about you that you're afraid that you'll get in trouble for. I like that because we adults are walking around going, I might get in trouble, like we're this little kid that somebody's going to scold us or put us in the corner. And so, because of that, we're not honest. Because we don't make our needs a priority and ask people to help us meet our needs in clear, direct ways, we're subtly manipulative, we're indirect. Because we don't express our anger, and this was the thing going back to I mentioned my second wife that she said, you got to go and get into therapy. She said, you're passive aggressive. I didn't even know what that meant. And really what it means is when you cannot or won't express your anger directly, it's got to come out in indirect ways, often unconscious ways of, and the passive aggressive behaviors on my part were the put downs, the little pokes, the jokes that weren't funny, the embarrassing her in public, by exposing stuff or revealing stuff about her, me saying I'm going to do something and forgetting or not following through. My inability to actually pay attention and listen when she talked instead of trying to fix or checking out. The other side of that is that I talk about something in the book called victim pukes, where the nice guy will just let his resentments build up, build up, build up. I do this, I do that. It's never enough. She's never happy. It's never good enough. Or even at work, I help other people. I work late. I give extra. I sacrifice, but I don't get recognized and I don't get promoted. When that builds up enough, it's either got to come out in that passive aggressive behavior, or the other way is through the victim pukes. And the victim pukes is when finally something sets off all of that built up, resentment and anger, and you just blow up. And every nasty thought you've ever had comes out. And I remember my ex used to, after one of these blow ups, she said, how long has that been bothering you? And I said, oh, well, I don't know, maybe 6 months or so. And she'd look at me and said, and it never crossed your mind you could just say something about it? And I go, no, and it hadn't. So when you ask me what kind of person was I was that kind of person. I was a person that kept everything hidden, um, used covert contracts to try to get my needs met. I was codependent. I never said what I really wanted. I didn't think I was dishonest, but I never told the whole truth. I'd leave little parts out. I would misdirect. I'd make up stories that weren't, kind of, but not really true. And I had the passive aggressive behavior and those victim pukes. So even though I thought I was a good guy, um, I was really difficult to live with. And it was kind of funny that I was married to my second wife for 14 years and divorced her. And about the time my book came out in 2003, so it's been several years ago. And when I got out in the dating world, I started meeting some nice girls. These girls that were nice, they're good people, but they wouldn't really say what they wanted. I proposed, let's go do this. Yeah, whatever. They would never really say if they wanted to or not. Um, and just wouldn't tell me if their feelings were hurt. I could just tell something was up. And when I started to see what it was like to be with a nice girl, man, I had lots of empathy for my two ex-wives, thinking, man, what did I put them through by never saying what I wanted, not being honest, not being clear and direct, not making my needs a priority, hiding. So yeah, these are just a few of the ways that nice guys tend to be not so nice.
Yeah, I think it's such an interesting paradox. Like we call them nice people, like nice guys or nice females, but inside they're actually not nice. Like they're manipulative. And you touched upon this, the covert contracts. Can you just explain like what that is?
Yeah, let's talk about covert contracts because I actually think it's probably one of the most core principles in No More Mr. Nice Guy that men say, hey, reading this, understanding this really changed their way they could view themselves. But let me say just one other thing about nice guys and nice girls. In my experience, most nice guys and nice girls, even though the manifestation of their nice guy syndrome makes them not nice, in my experience, most of them really are good people, right? They're trying to be good people. They want to be good people. The problem is trying to be good doesn't make us good, right? It's more about accepting ourselves as we are, for warts and all, good and bad, accepting all of that about ourselves makes us approachable, makes us available to be in a relationship. So we can come back to that. But so, yeah, underneath all that nice guy stuff is just a perfectly imperfect person that if we can just accept that, and that usually takes some work to accept our imperfection, then we can actually be close to people without trying to, hide stuff or be good or get them to like us, which that leads us back well into covert contracts. So I'm going to even spell this out more clearly than I did in the book. The nice guys, nice girls operate by three fundamental covert contracts, and they're all if-then proposals. So if I do this, then this will happen. And the first one is if I'm a nice guy, if I'm a good person, I'll be liked and loved. And for men, that usually translates to, and the woman I want to have sex with will want to have sex with me. So if I'm a good guy, and you may have heard the term virtue signaling, and this applies to nice guys, especially around women. Look at me, I'm different than the other men. I'm a nice guy. I've repressed my sexuality. I'm not hitting on you. I'm listening to you talk about your problems. I'm trying to help you out. I'll help your sister move. I'll pay your car payment. See, I'm a nice guy. And maybe we don't do any of those things that we think those toxic males do. Blah 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 blah. But that trying to be good to get people to like us and love us is that falseness that we've been talking about, right? And not everybody's going to like you or love you, and just being good doesn't. And ironically, nice guys have a hard time finding this out. Being nice actually does not turn women on. Being nice just makes them think, oh, he's like my girlfriends. I can just talk to him about whatever I want. It never makes them think, oh, I might like to get naked with him. And that's such a paradox to nice guys. We think, well, I'm going to do all these things nice for a woman, and then she'll like me and love me and want to have sex with me. And then when the opposite happens and they end up in the friend zone, that's where they just try harder, being nicer. But that's where that resentment starts building up that I see in so many men nowadays, whether it's men attracted to red pill or pickup or men going their own way or incels, all these kind of different movements out there in the manosphere. Most of them are fueled by men's insecurities and resentments. Because look, I've tried to do it right, my covert contract. I did it. I was a good guy, and these women don't like me and love me and want to have sex with me. So that's covert contract number one. If I'm a good guy, then I'll be liked and loved. Covert contract number two is if I give to other people without them having to ask, then they should give to me without me having to ask. And so here we are being codependent and caretaking and fixing and giving to people and thinking, because I read their mind and gave them what I think they wanted or needed. Maybe they didn't, who knows, but we think, well, I'll give them this, then they'll appreciate me. They'll love me. They'll give back to me. They'll read my mind. And the problems with this covert contract is, number one, nobody knows it exists. The other person doesn't know that now that you've given to them, that there's strings attached and you're supposed to give back. And usually we're giving to people that aren't really good at giving. Usually they're kind of broken or depressed or having financial problems or, overwhelmed. And I'm going to give to them and now they'll give back. And so we tend to attract people that aren't very good givers. And even more profound, nice guys are terrible receivers. Remember when I talked about nice guys tend to hide things? And one of the things they hide is their needs. And so here we are trying to be needless and wantless and get our needs met, as if that was even possible. For a lot of nice guys, if somebody wants to do something for us, even just give us a compliment, we feel anxious. We feel like, oh no, the spotlight's on me, or I'm in trouble, or somebody's going to get mad at me. So as odd as that sounds, nice guys often have a shame attack around having needs and people wanting to give to them. So we just keep using these covert contracts and tend to not get our needs met very well. Third covert contract is that if I do everything right, then I will have a smooth, problem-free life. Well, there's a lot of problems with that covert contract. Excuse me. Number one, what is the guidebook for doing everything right? I mean, there's been a few of them written, whether it's the Torah, the New Testament, the Talmud, whatever it is, that, but all of them say nobody ever does it right. That there is no one that gets it perfect. So there is no objective standard of doing everything right. But the other thing is that life is not smooth and problem-free. So here's nice guys out there keeping score. I do everything right. I do everything right. Oh, you didn't do your thing right. You didn't do your thing right. And now you're making my life uncomfortable. I didn't get my pay raise. I didn't get my promotion. You don't want to have sex with me. Life should work perfectly if I do everything right. And of course, that's a very childlike way of viewing the world, because we don't live in this smooth, perfect world. And that one aspect of being an adult is learning to get comfortable with discomfort, of learning to handle stress and change and the unpredictable. That's how we grow. So because of that, nice guys tend to not be real mature, because we're still living with this magical childlike view. If I'm good, everybody will like me and love me. If I give to everybody else, they'll give to me. And if I do everything right, I'll have this perfect, smooth life. And none of that reflects reality. And that's why nice guys tend to be so frustrated, tend to not live up to their potential, tend to not find the love they want, tend to not have the sex that they want, and tend to not always be so nice.
Hey everyone, I hope you enjoyed this episode of The Reader's Journey. You can learn more about what's covered in today's podcast in the show notes below. If you enjoyed this podcast, the best way you can support it is by subscribing and leaving a positive review. If you're looking for reading tips or book recommendations, head over to alexandbooks.com. If you want to join my reading journey, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter by searching for Alex and Books. That's all for now. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope to see you soon. Read on, everyone.